Hey there, I'm live, and I've been wanting for a while to do like a deep dive into my, albeit modest Twilight Time collection. Though I was kind of hoping this wouldn't be the reasoning for doing it. Uh, Twilight Time, Nick Redman actually from Twilight Time, recently unfortunately passed away, and he was kind of the voice of the company. He did a couple interviews on like back on Killer POV back before it became Shockwaves, and I think I saw him like do interviews in a couple other places as well. He was probably best known. Hey Ben, has kind of like a guy that was really into like into soundtracks and into music. It's kind of why if you collected any Twilight Time stuff, you're gonna notice that you don't see one that comes out without an isolated score, and that really was his love. Hey, De Katana. Oh, yeah, I saw that there. I don't know if I can buy it even for $5.99, but maybe down the road. But Morning Scholar. Unfortunately, Nick Redman has passed away, and I did not know a lot about the guy, but everything I heard about him was extremely nice. I've ragged on Twilight Time before as a company, mostly to be completely honest, out of the jealousy of not being able to buy their stuff around in my area. Hey, Javid. But the truth of the matter is, I'm very proud, hey bears, of my small Twilight Time collection. It's they did some really good stuff, and Redman will be missed in the in the genre community, as one of the guys that actually cared about the soundtrack. I think the isolated soundtracks, which wasn't a big deal to a lot of people, maybe in a way kind of like led to what we got now, which is like actually getting actual soundtracks with a lot of our Blu-rays. Severin and Blue Underground have really like stepped it up when it comes to doing that. So what I'm going to do tonight is, for the start of this video anyways, I'm going to kind of deep dive in my small, modest Twilight Time collection. Nearly 5 a.m. there. It's hey, Tell Me Films, how's it going? Have you been over to Bay Street? We're talking Twilight Time tonight, and which I've been wanting to do for a while, and unfortunately the passing of Nick Redman kind of like facilitated that I do this now. Oh, you work night shifts? I used to do that actually, but nowadays, I'll be honest with you, I'm older, so it's a little bit more hectic on me. But I figure we'll start anywhere with this, because all my Twilight Time stuff is actually, I don't think there's anything in my Twilight Time collection that I really, hey, Celluloid Chat, you slept through the last one, right? It's actually pretty good. So every one of them will have usually two Twilight. Well, I don't have very many more, Ben. Actually, I've say on. So I got 10 Twilight Times to go through. So that's not a lot. So I can actually take time to go through them. And if you have any questions or anything like that, well, we can go through them together. They're harder to find. I mean, as far as accessibility goes, I know there's Screen Archives. That's where a lot of people get their Twilight Time stuff from. I think pretty much everybody gets it through Screen Archives. Though I don't find Screen Archives to be the most accessible place to actually get things from. Usually because of that huge red warning. Although anybody that orders from Screen Archives on a regular basis will tell you that they're very accessible and they're very easy and they come very quickly. One thing that I can tell you is that the very few times, good choices, Ben, that I actually got stuff from Screen Archives, it did actually come very quickly. And I didn't pay $40 extra for it. So, first off is Count Yorga Vampire. I'm a huge fan of vampire films, especially in this era. Now, Count Yorga was very, was Robert Quarry, and one of the big things that Count Yorga did was it kind of brought vampires back into, at the time. Oh, the studio comparison? Yeah, I haven't forgot that, Jav, but I actually did like an Amicus Hammer one, and I will be doing other ones down the road. Uh, it's going to make for an interesting year this year. So I just got to get the right studios put together. I did start doing those, and it's just when I moved that kind of got like, yeah, my schedule got shifted around, and then I went to doing like a kind of a live format. But I will be doing the studio ones, and probably I'll be doing them in the live format as well. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. It'll make it interesting because you guys will be able to like chime in as I give my pluses and minuses on what studio goes up against another. Hey, Mikey. I'm a huge vinegar. Hey, Wolf, how's it going? I'm a huge Vinegar Syndrome fan, as you guys know. I am the Vinegar Syndrome guy. A lot of people got strange invaders here. I didn't know Drunk Master came out for them. Suspiria versus Synapse. Oh, Cult Films. Okay, that's a good one, actually. So, Count Yorga Vampire changed the game. A lot of people don't realize this now, but before Count Yorga came out, it was pretty much a gothic style, like Hammer, like led vampire. That's the way vampires were really going. The successful ones were done like that. Now, Count Yorga was a fairly successful film done by AIP, and it changed Hammer a bit. Because Hammer, after Count Yorga, Hammer would go out and start doing modern day vampire films. So, good or bad, Dracula AD 72 and Satanic Rites of Dracula, I think both came after Count Yorga, and this would probably be one of the reasonings for it. Now, what's really neat is that you'll always get like this small booklet in them, and I will go through the booklets to show you guys. So this is the kind of an artsy type cover, and of course there's the original poster art, which I really dig. I love when the poster art actually looked good, like it was actually real artwork. Now, I think, so this one here is done by Julie Kingo. A lot of the commentaries from here, I'm not sure if this one has a commentary or not. It does. This one has a commentary by David DeVell and Tim Sullivan, and some other features as well. And a lot of them don't have like a lot of features on them. Hey, Michael, how's it going, man? Mr. Cannon. We are talking Twilight time, too. Moscow and Hudson. I don't have either one of those, actually. I remember Moscow and Hudson. I saw it in theater, actually. Thunderbolt Lightning, I was a little bit too young, but I do remember that film. But Count Yorga, again, I love this cover. Love the way this is done. Next up is with one of my favorite action actors of all time. And anybody that's watched my channel for a while knows who this is. And that's Charles Bronson. So this is The Mechanic. I think this is actually an extremely underrated Bronson film. I really do like this one here. Great action film, great performance by Bronson, and also from Gianmarco Vincent. Actually, he does a great job in this. This isn't one of the times when Gianmarco Vincent, as you would see in later years after the accident, Gianmarco Vincent will kind of walk his way through a lot of his roles. Just watch Ice Cream Man, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you want to see Gianmarco Vincent pretty much cashing a check on screen, because that's what he does during Ice Cream Man. Now, the late Nick Redman did many commentaries for Twilight Time, and he's got a very soothing voice. He's known for having like a very kind of soothing, I'm not sure he's English, but he's got like a really kind of like a really good voice to listen to commentaries. Anyway, so he did the commentary on this one, along with cinematographer Richard H. Klein. And of course, as always, the isolated score track, which is really interesting to listen to on here. Again, just like always, we have the Stone Killer. It's been a long time since I've seen the Stone Killer. I actually had the book, the novelization of that one. It was a favorite of mine for like a long period of time. And I actually remember the book better than I remember the film. When I look at this now, where that guy, they got that guy out now that kind of, he looks like Bronson. If you see him, he really looks like Bronson a lot. This here picture from The Mechanic actually kind of reminds me almost more of the guy that looks like Bronson than actually Bronson. If you kind of get where I'm going with that. And again, this movie was, of course, remade, but I stick by the original. I think this is the one to have in your collection. And I'm not quite sure how Redmond's passing is going to affect Twilight Time, but obviously it is going to have an effect on the company. We'll have to see. Next up is one that a couple of you mentioned here. Julie, your favorites? They are really interesting to listen to, actually. Indicator's break. See, they are expensive and they are harder to get. Twilight Time puts out a lot of really good stuff. It's unfortunate that it makes, hey Voodoo, how's it going? That it makes it really hard to find their stuff. Now this is one that a couple of you guys mentioned that you had, and hey Corey, that is The Believers. This is one of the horror titles from Twilight Time. Twilight Time unfortunately stopped making so many making horror titles. It was kind of like I guess there were so many people out there that were doing horror that they realized that I guess it wasn't something that they could conceivably keep doing. But The Believers is Martin Sheen. It's kind of a supernatural, kind of a cultish type film. I do like this one, and if you've never seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. If you like the voodoo stuff and you like that style of filmmaking, you're definitely gonna enjoy this. Now this is I love this new artwork here. I kind of wish it would have been on here, but I do like the fact that all has different artwork. The poster, of course, is like what everybody remembers The Believers as, and this is like a dark film. Actually, a very, very dark film. As always, the books are all the booklets, as far as I can tell, are all written by Julie Kurgo. No, you're right. It is a voodoo style film. Right there, look. Kind of cultish voodoo style film. I do like these. No, Corey, no. You know how I feel about that. Sadly, the Patriots won. I'm not happy about that fact. The Believers, definitely one to check out. Now, the next one is out of print, and I'm actually super stoked that I was able to get this one. Now, you can get this one through, I think through Australia now. So you're not stuck not being able to have this film. And I do recommend, if you don't have this film, it's a really good film. It's directed by Chuck Russell, and it was done a screenplay by him and by Frank Darabont. So you probably know what the film is by now, and that is the fantastic remake of The Blob. As far as when you talk about top remakes go, this is one of them. Up there with The Fly and The Thing. The Blob just did it extremely, extremely well. They casted it well. They got the feel of the original, but kept a kind of a modern take on it. And if you've never seen The Blob, I really recommend that you check this one out. We got Kevin Dillon, Shawnee Smith, Donovan Leitch, Kenny Clark is in this one, Joe Seneca, a great cast. And I actually really like the artwork on the inside here. Looks kind of like bubblegum, right? But The Blob was a really cool, kind of brutal film. What I really like about it is that they have a kind of I guess Donovan Leitch plays kind of the other kind of boyfriend, the jockish type character. But he's not an ass. It's not like teenagers against teenagers. There's a bunch of groups that are dicks and that type of thing. No, it actually is what I would consider a bit more realistic of what actually it was like being a teenager back then. I haven't watched Wilders yet, actually. But this is gory, Corey, so you need it. Great special effects in this one. Does The Blob have a commentary? Actually, I think it does. Yep, it's got a commentary with Chuck Russell and Ryan Turek. Oh, Ryan Turek, who we all know now because he's one of the forces behind the new Halloween film. He also works on a podcast himself called Shockwaves, right? And we got Friday Night Frights at the Cine Family and Isolated soundtrack on here as well. So definitely, guys, if you don't have this one, even if you can't get the Twilight Time edition, the Blob deserves to have a place in your collection. The Umbrella release has some really cool stuff. I almost picked up the Umbrella release of Road Games. I really regret not getting it now. I should have picked it up because that is such a fantastic film. Next up is one that is, Dream Warriors. Yeah, Part 3. He did originally was supposed to do that with, was he supposed to do it with, yeah, he was, with Wes Craven, but Craven ended up bowing out. Creative differences. So this, for a time, was considered one of the most, aside from the Blob, this was the most wanted, like, sought after Twilight time for a lot of horror fans, and that would be this one right here, Fright Night, for real. And this is the 30th anniversary edition. They put out an edition of Fright Night before this. There was not a lot of features on it. So this edition here, when it came out, there's some good editions of Fright Night. So that's a good thing, Corey. No, you no longer have to like just want this one edition. There's some great editions of Fright Night out there. Now, this one has a lot of features on it. This has the isolated score track, of course. We got an audio commentary with Tom Holland, Chris Sarandon, Jonathan Stark, moderated by Tim Sullivan. We've got a second audio commentary on here with Holland, William Ragsdale, Stephen Jeffries, Randall Cook, the FX artist, moderated by Jeremy Smith and Tim Sullivan. The first ever Fright Night reunion panel at the second Fear Festival. Your favorite movie of all time? You have great taste. This is in my tops as well. And this is probably one of my favorite vampire films, if not my favorite vampire film of all time. Picked up Upgrade. There's a new edition of it coming out, right? With like the full documentary. Because I've got the Eureka edition, which see, I have like a couple of versions. I got this edition. I've got the Eureka edition, which has like "You're so cool, Brewster." Well, at least the the Fright Night portion of it. But there's another like 45 minutes or so to that documentary dealing with Fright Night Part 2. And the new edition of Fright Night is going to have the complete "You're So Cool, Brewster" documentary on there, which means I'm probably going to triple dip. But Fright Night is such a good movie, it actually deserves it. The Eureka one, really good. That's got a documentary on there. And that's got the Fright Night documentary. If Fright Night Part 2 ever comes out from Eureka, I'm sure they'll put the rest of the documentary on that disc. Now there is an EP kit on here, and electronics press kits aren't something that I normally go into, but Indicator does amazing stuff. I don't have Breakout. I need Breakout. I don't think I've got it in any format. But this one has Fright Night, the music video by the Jay Giles Band, and I'm a huge fan of that song. It's impossible to say Fright Night without like trying to roll your R's. Next up is a John Carpenter film. And staying in the same vein as Fright Night, we have Vampires. This is what I thought was an excellent little film. And I think it's one of the underrated John Carpenter ones. It's it's action oriented. It's like an action horror style film. We got like a decent cast. James Woods, Daniel Baldwin, Cheryl Lee, of course, from Twin Peaks, Thomas Ian Griffith, and Maximilian Schell. So, yeah, an amazing cast. Great score, actually. James Woods being way cooler in this than he is in real life. If you like James Woods, don't read his Twitter feed. Just stay away from it. It's depressing. It's very depressing. It hurts my heart. But here's the booklet for this one. Did I show you the guy's booklet for Fright Night? I don't think I did. Here's Thomas Ian Griffith there. I think his last one was In the Mouth of, and In the Mouth of Madness was amazing. I don't think, for me, he hasn't done a really bad film. Even The Ward was okay. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, I can't watch it. Oh, here we go. I forgot to show you guys the booklet of Fright Night, so I'm going to go back and do that. Because it's actually really cool. Like, they're small booklets. They definitely don't have like an amazing amount of stuff in them, but they're a lot of good reading, and I really enjoy them. I've actually got to get caught up on some of my booklet reading. Hey, Culture Training. We are talking Twilight time. Exactly. Julie Kruger does an amazing job, Michael, on all these booklets. Yeah, thank you. Ghost of Mars is my least favorite John Carpenter film of all time. And it was a hard trudge for me to get through. I haven't seen it in a long time. Maybe if I watched it again, I would feel differently. But the last time I saw it, I actually didn't like it. So you're right there. There's the one that I don't like. So next up is Scream and Scream Again. This one gets kind of maligned sometimes. I think this is actually a better film than people give it credit for. It's different where people expected I think people expected a bit of a, different with the cast it has. Because we got Vincent Price, Peter Cushing's in this, Christopher Lee's in this one here as well. I think we got there's a bunch of actors in this in this film. And big horror actors. And kind of people expected Solid Precinct, but not quite as good as the Solid Precinct 13. I think they could have actually done a good Solid Precinct 13 space. But Scream and Scream Again is definitely a really fun one. It's more of a sci-fi than it is like a horror, but definitely a neat little one. And a weird looking booklet, actually. Amicus. Actually, is this Amicus? Probably is. Yeah, it's been a long time. Or no, this is AIP, right? I think this is AIP. No bubbly tonight. Actually, I had to lay off it a bit because I'm not it didn't do the best for my insides. Actually, I'm on a healthy diet, though I've been cheating on it a little bit. Got to keep myself on track. But Scream and Scream Again. Feature-wise on this one here, we got an isolated score. We have auto commentary with film historians Dave DeVal and Tim Sullivan again. Gentleman Gothic, Gordon Hesler at AIP. So yeah, there's a AIP. An interview with Uda Levka, Steel Gallery radio spot, and original theatrical trailer. So again, really cool looking cover to this one, and I think it's one that deserves like a rewatch. And just know going in, it's not exactly going to be what you're like a full-on horror extravaganza with just because it has all those actors in it. The next up is one that pretty much everybody on here mentioned that they had, well, almost everybody, and that is Strange Invaders. So this was one that I'm guessing a lot of people wanted to grab. Oh really? I don't have the books, which I do need, and I'm a huge Amicus fan. So I will get that down the road because I am I love Severin stuff. I really do. I'm a huge fan of the stuff they've been doing lately. See, I like Strange Invaders. Actually, I do. I like you. Dave Town is not a fan. Well, everybody's different. We, some people are going to be fans and some people aren't. But I actually like this one a lot. Isolated score. It's a bit of a slow burn. It kind of reminds me of a Twilight Zone type of thing. Director Michael Lachlan and writer Wim Condon actually do the commentary on this one here. It's a very kind of like a unique style, kind of done in the vein of the 1950s sci-fi films. You like more Strange Behavior? What's the Strange Behavior? Dangerous. Okay. I think it's one that deserves deserves at least a second watch. I do actually really dig this one. Very different film, very unique in the way that it was done, and it's not your typical sci-fi kind of actiony horror type of thing. It's a very different style of film, and I think that it actually benefits in the long run from that it has its own kind of unique voice. Next up is one that I really do like, and it was a bit very influential film in my life actually, and affected me in many ways. It's by Randall Kleiser. Yeah, Strange Behavior was called Dead Kids actually. That was from Invaders from Mars. You don't like Invaders from Mars? I like Invaders from Mars. That one is totally imbalanced though. And this is Summer Lovers. Much different from the other ones that you saw there. That's Peter Gallagher, Daryl Hannah, and what is the other girl's name? I can never remember. Valerie Quennison, right? Yeah, Valerie Quennison. So this was shot. Where's it? Was this in Greece? Yeah, the Greek island of Santorini. So if you've never seen this movie, it's more of a dramatic style film. It's about a couple that takes another girl, a kind of like in with them, and it's sort of a menage a trois, which is how the French would say it. The English would say it too, and that's really what it becomes. It's like best transfers I've ever seen. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a videophile, as in like you'll get like people on. There's a certain website, we all know it. There's a forum that really get into like transfers, and then they'll be like showing like arguing and putting up like these like links to Capaholic and stuff like that, and I'm always like, yeah, dude, I try the film. Yeah, Suspiria would definitely be one of the best transfers I've ever seen. I gotta watch Zombie and Maniac. I've turned out a couple minutes of them, but from what I've seen, yeah, those are gonna be definitely up there. But Summer Lovers, again, it's just it's just a film that had like a huge. I ended up like traveling, and I had similar experiences to that film. So we need to go into that. That's far enough. When I was younger. Last but not least is one that recently came out. Let's not get. When I was younger. I'm old now, Dick. I have a better half, and that's good. I'm a happy guy. But yes, when I was younger, everybody, kind of. I lived in the '80s. That was, nothing special. Thank you, Wolf. Thank you for getting me out of that. But 10 to Midnight recently came out from Scream Factory. This is the original Twilight Time edition. I love this cover. This definitely has a better cover than the Scream Factory edition that recently came out. But either way, if you get the film, this is a fantastic film. If you've never seen this one, definitely see it. I love this. Charles Bronson does a great job in this film, and it's such a stoic role. Naked Killer, actually, it is. Yeah. We got Lisa Albuquerque. I'm gonna mispronounce that. Andrew Stevens is in this one as well. Gene Davis, and of course Jeffrey Lewis, and Wilford Brimley, who I remember because of the oat milk commercial. But if you've never seen this one, strongly recommend checking it out. It's a really good film. It's a really solid. You're on a Bronson kick? Nice. Ten to Midnight is such a classic film, and it is so well done. It's kind of action meets slasher in the best, in the very, very best way. If you've never seen this, honestly, pick it up. I mean, it's actually a fairly, like 102 minutes, and it goes by fairly fast. The killer is really well done. There's a sequence in a theater that I really like, and there's another one where he's at a funeral, which kind of stands out as two sequences that I really, and of course there's that ending that you're going to remember. Now, he's not the Death Wish character in this film. He's very much the opposite of the Death Wish character. He's a cop that's trying to not be a killer, trying to do the right thing, and we follow him to without giving too much away, to his breaking point in this film. It's actually a masterful performance by Charles Bronson. Where hey Mark, how's it going? I'm not working tomorrow, so I thought I'd do like a late night one as opposed to some of my earlier ones, because a couple of my earlier ones recently I've had some stuttering type issues. So I thought maybe we'd see if a late night one actually does does better. What the best transfers I've seen on film? That's a hard question. I mean, because it's for me, I will concentrate more on, if I really enjoy the film, I may miss like aspects of like whether the like Suspiria definitely is. It was an amazing transfer. The Maniac, the release that just came out, and the Zombie release that just came out. If you don't have them and you're at all a fan of either one of those films, Blue Underground did just amazing stuff. I talked recently about Synapse, and one thing I can say is that most of the Synapse stuff that I've gotten, I've been extremely impressed with. Prom Night's best ever never looked better than it did with Synapse, and Curtains was revolutionary in the way that it looked. Those transfers stand out. It's easy to talk about transfers of films like Braveheart or Titanic or something like that. You know, the easy to get ones. These are the fun ones. What impresses me are companies like Synapse and Vinegar Syndrome that go out there and they put out amazing transfers of movies that have been kind of lost. Movies that don't have like a million different like ways to get it. Hard Times is a good one as well. I'm a Bronson fan. I like them all. So when I think of a transfer, and I think of companies that I look for transfers, Blue Underground is quickly becoming one. Vinegar Syndrome, definitely. It astounds me the stuff that Vinegar Syndrome has like done incredible transfers for. Movies that nobody else would even like look at. Who else is going to say? You definitely have to respect it. Who else but Vinegar Syndrome would get there and say, you know what? Andy Milligan deserves a really good transfer for his films. Only Vinegar Syndrome is gonna say that. Severin does some great work as well. Some people rag on Severin a bit, but I personally have been fairly impressed with the stuff that I've seen. I watched The Absurd last night, by the way, and I'm going to watch the features later on tonight. I actually put the features around for tonight. Really, I actually did. I liked the release of Hell Night, but I think I'll be honest with you, I liked it overall. I've never seen there's very few slasher films, like lower kind of budgety slasher films, like kind of like Hell Night, kind of like niche films that got as much attention as that one did. Oh, that's fine, dude. Than Hell Night did. But because I would recommend Hell Night to everybody. Like if I thought the transfer was decent. I definitely thought the transfer was decent for Hell Night. But more than anything else, Hell Night's features are excellent, par excellent. The metroristic to chat. That happens a bit here, and that's not on your side a lot. It's usually on my side when I get them. So I try to answer as best as I can, and sometimes you'll see me like talking to like, because I'll get like a bunch of chat messages come up at once, and I do try to make sure that I don't leave anybody out. Hey Andy, how's it going, man? We have talked about Twilight Time, and just to let you know, this here is my Missed a bit about transfers. Twilight Time collection. I think it does get the respect, Mark, overall. I mean, like, you can't like. See, I thought the transfers were okay. Was okay. Like, it's not the greatest transfer, but just look at what they did. Just look at what they accomplished with Twilight Time. With Hell Night. Look at all the features. You go through the features on Hell Night, you're not left with any questions. Everybody's been spoken to. Everybody's been talking about it. Every aspect of the film has really been dove into. Yes, Suspiria is one to have. Hey, Movie Madness. You're watching Stranger Things? You'll enjoy it. Suspiria is one to have. The Synapse edition of Suspiria is the edition, in my opinion, to get. I would definitely grab that. Grab Maniac from Blue Underground. The latest edition of that, it's revolutionary in the way that it looks. Zombie is another one. There's Synapse films that definitely, aside from Suspiria, Prom Night, incredible in the way that that one goes. A lot of the stuff from Vinegar Syndrome are just amazing. Hey, Uncle. There's just so many good releases. But look at like Synapse, Vinegar Syndrome, and for me, Severin. Severin's made a couple errors, like same as Scream Factory has in recent times, but nothing that's made me think that, okay, I got to go away from Severin. No, they've done some really great stuff. There were some issues with the Changeling one, but that was a sound issue. But you got the soundtrack, so you got the steelbook then, right? I don't think so. I did see, like back in the day, Suspiria in the theater, but I wouldn't be able to really look at both of them and tell you. It didn't face up on mine. It's weird. Well, what Severin title did you buy? I'm actually kind of curious to know, because there's some good ones out there right now, and they just released some really good stuff. So let me know what Severin title you got. I'm actually going to be doing a video on Severin in the very near future. I'm actually kind of falling in love with that company right now and the stuff that they put out. Any company that puts out Absurd, Anthropocus, and Emmanuel and The Last Cannibals is a company for me. 4K restoration of Suspiria. Blood Farmers. Oh, nice. Some people were like, you're always going to get these people. Oh, you got The Devil's Honey? I actually recently picked that one up. It's the Fulci film, and kind of a sexploitation one. So I'm actually kind of interested in that. I really think it's going to be hard to beat the Synapse version of Suspiria. They put a lot of work and a lot of time into it. If it does, fantastic. It's probably one I'll pick up down the road. The original cult film's release of it is good. No, man, being picky is okay. That's good. Dude, it's a film you feel passionate about. You're picky about it because you're passionate about the film. That's never a bad thing. Don't ever think I'm ragging on you for any of that stuff. I'm just giving my opinion on it. And definitely respect yours. So don't ever think that. Always feel, passionate. That's the neat part. Threads. I need to get Threads, but it's kind of depressing. Vampire Lesbos, I do have. That is a great film. For me, and I'm going to say it. Devil's Honey. Is Pet Sematary good? I don't have the new release of Pet Sematary, so I don't know if the 4K that one is good. I haven't checked online or anything like that. The movie Pet Sematary is good. I can tell you that. Dale Metcalf actually does a great job in that. And if you like Dale Metcalf, then you must also get Vinegar Syndrome's like Nightmare Weekend. Not a problem, Mark. Anytime. That is what I am here for. That's what we're all here for. But yeah, do I have any other Severin recommendation? A lot. I'm actually going to do a Severin video, so I don't know if I should save it till then. But I have very unique taste when it comes to Severin. I'm going to let you on a not so subtle secret. I love Italian horror. I super love Italian horror. So guys like Bruno Mattei, Absurd looked amazing, and it starts out like a bit slow, but it doesn't start so. It stretches a bit, but man, that ending to Absurd. Has everybody here seen Absurd or the other Halloween 2, as anybody that has seen Absurd will call it, that other Halloween 2. Italian horror. Yeah, I do a lot of Italian horror talk on my channel because it's something that I really love. There's been the only release of He Knows You're Alone so far, Mark, has been through Warner Archives, and I'm not sure if there's a Blu-ray, but there's a DVD. Threads is a difficult one. I saw it the day after, before I saw Threads. I'm in North America, and that's the one that we had here. Andy likes Absurd. Thank you. So, would you call Absurd the other Halloween 2? For your video analysis connection, your own Absurd. Perfect. The ending. Only thing I got to say about that is the beat H2O by a long time, right? They beat H2O by quite a few years with Absurd. I'm watching the movie and I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I don't know if I'd seen to the ending when I'd seen it before, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. That I'd missed the ending, or I missed the last couple of minutes of Absurd. So I'm watching it. I'm loving the soundtrack. So I'm really digging the fact that that the soundtrack's included with Absurd. Tell you what, let me grab a couple of my Severins that I do recommend. I just got them recently. So hey, welcome, stranger Stephanie. I see you on Twitter all the time, but I rarely see you here. I actually just finished off and I'll go over these before I go through. So my small Twilight Time collection. Rest in peace, Nick Redman, which is unfortunate that that piece of news recently came about. But for me, I've gotten 10 to Midnight, the original Twilight Time release, because I love that one. Summer Lovers, and again, a film that I like, and we're not going to go any further than that. Strange Invaders, Scream and Scream Again. It's definitely a hard grown. Goblin, even Claudio Simonetti on his own as well. Fright Night, for real. Vampires by John Carpenter. The Blob, I love this movie. The Believers, underrated. The Mechanic, definitely a Bronson that everybody needs to own, and better than the remake. And Count Yorga, Vampire. So you guys were asking about Severin, right? Beware the Blob. I actually have Beware the Blob. It's a fantastic little film by Kino, and a great example of a movie that is pretty much improvised. I got to get Horror. I loved Horror Express. It's a small collection. It's like only 10 films, but they're really hard to get here, Steph. Very, very hard to get. There's a couple of those that are out of print, like Blob's out of print. Mechanic might be out of print. Probably a lot of these like blue releases usually are. I think The Believers is now too. Your Black Friday order. I was going to get the old Severin Horror Express, and I kind of wondered what it was like compared to the Arrow one. That's the only reason I didn't pick it up. I picked up a lot of Severin when it came to when I went to Bay Street Video, and I'm actually on a Severin kick right now. After watching Halloween 2, Absurd, the real Halloween 2, I love George Eastman, man. He just rocks, and he's such a huge dude. He's like 6'9". You guys got your Severin stuff. I have something coming, which you guys will see on my channel in the very near future, and it's something I'm very excited about. Steph knows what it is. Tenebrae Steelbook. Oh, it is amazing. It's got a great stuff on it. So no, let me show you the real Halloween 2. Don't have it down here. Just grab something, because you know what, guys? We're going to do Severin. we're going to do Severin tonight. You guys have been talking a lot about Severin tonight, so we're switching it up a bit. Hope you guys like that. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Famous last words. All right. So since the end of my Twilight time portion of my video, you guys have been throwing me Severin questions. What Severins do I like? No, I just have some of my movies. Well, I do have like, if you've seen any of my my stuff on Twitter and on Twitter, on like Instagram, you're gonna know that I have like an area upstairs where I have this a lot of like a display cabinet for like my bigger stuff. But I have a few like movies I've been watching, and I'll put like around like 7 or 8 movies upstairs so I have something to watch. So, my Severin collection. You ready for this, guys? Maybe this will give you guys some ideas about what you want to pick up on Severin, depending on the type of stuff that you're into and the type of stuff that you like. So, I've got like a varied Severin collection. First off is a triple pack, and that is Nightmare Castle. Comes along with Castle Blood and Terror Creatures from the Grave. I actually really like this one. This is a Barbara Steele. You know, this is a Queen of Horror one. Hey, Chantel, you're still up. I figured you'd be like gotten to bed by now. Cleaning again? So this is a really good one. If you haven't checked it out, there's a ton of features on here as well. Just like a one disc edition, but if you're a fan of the old kind of the classic horror stuff, you got the signed one? Yeah, they did have that one on there, didn't they? Then this is definitely one to own. If you like classic horror films and you're a Barbara Steele fan, I'm a huge Barbara Steele fan, then this is one that you got to have in your collection. We're going to be going through some different stuff, and next up is one. This one may not be for everyone. I'm talking to Callum. Callum, sir, her boyfriend, her better half, or she's his better half. You don't trust anyone who's a Barbara Steele fan. Good, because Barbara Steele rocks. So then you trust me. Sort of. A little bit. The Sinful Dwarf. You may not trust me now. Limited Collector's Edition. I had to have this movie. It is weird. If you're a Vinegar Syndrome fan, you're probably going to like The Sinful Dwarf. If you're an early Vinegar Syndrome fan. True. Then this is a strange movie. I haven't seen it. I actually watched the other film on this, and this does have a Vinegar Syndrome connection. There is a film on this that is an adult film, by the way, just so you know, called The Blue Balloon, and it has a really good, actually has a decent story to it. Perfect. Yeah. Did you like The Blue Balloon? I actually thought it was, actually really liked it, and it did have kind of a heart, may just be me, but the ending, it got me a bit. Like it's an adult film, the ending got me. It really did. Yeah, I saw the plush doll. It was sold out before I could get a chance to get it. But yes, Vinegar Syndrome actually worked on this. Just to bittersweet, yeah. I wouldn't say a slasher as such. It's a different film. Hin's resting up. That's like she survived. She's getting better from the trip. So it takes time. But yeah, Harry Novak's stories in this, definitely one to check out. Before I go any further, there are 2 DVDs that came out from Severin that, I'm not gonna lie, you got to have these in your collection. Not you should have them in your collection. I suggest you have them in your collection. No, these next two are absolute musts. And they were put out in the UK by another company. But, and I'm sure Steph has these. If you don't, Steph, you got to get these. And that is Video Nasties, the definitive. You got the bridge cover. So how did you decide? I had to go for the eye damage cover. I just love that cover. I actually had to put it on my Instagram. It was just like so cool. My eldest, she's like she hates eye injury stuff. So the first thing I did, of course, because I'm a bit of a dick as a dad, I sent like a picture of the injury like thing. Every one of those covers are fantastic though. So this is the Video Nasties, the definitive guide. This is the original documentary. It is actually it's that final shot, and it sticks with you. A great documentary. You getting the Worm Eye one? I think Corey actually has that one too, and Corey was one of the reasons I actually picked it up. And then I heard. You definitely need to own this. This is great. What's really great about it, and the thing that I didn't really pick up, because I'd seen the documentary before, but there's the trailers. There's like 39 trailers on the second disc, and 33 trailers on the other disc. And it's what's really cool about it is the trailers are almost like their own. The Splinter one's what I got, Ben. It's almost like its own documentary. There's like introductions for every one of the trailers that gives it historical context, and it's really interesting. So after you're watching the actual documentary, you get almost like a second documentary and trailer tape rolled into one with discs 2 and 3. And of course, even better than that one was the second one, the definitive guide, the Draconian Days. So if you've seen the first one. This one is even better, and that's saying something because the first one was amazing and incredibly well done. Again, we got like 3 disc section, 3 lists with 82 trailers. Again, they all have kind of like a introductions for each one of these, and I think it almost adds its own separate documentary. Oh, definitely, Michael. I if you don't have them. And Steph is completely right. Yeah, it does. It's meant to look like a VHS. Actually, it's meant to look like the old kind of VHS back in the day. They rip off that the police, the bobbies, would go into the store. I'm horrible accents, and we just rip off like, I can't believe you're selling this filth. Oh, it's trial for you. And again, like I love the way they're done. Like they're all covered with like, if you look at them closely, you're going to see they're covered with posters, and just fantastically done. A great documentary. 13 hours of trailers. There we go. Look at that. Amazing. So I had to stop. I had to go right to those because strongly recommend it. You know, it's not Blu-ray. They're on DVD. They look fantastic, and they belong in everybody's collection. Because it's one that I go to. I go to this one very. It's made you buy a bunch of crap movies. Well, that's what happens. They don't really know. They're like, oh, this movie sounds like it's going to be horrible. I guess I'll show the other kind of trailer tape that I got. I don't have the sequel to this one. Only got the first one, but I like kind of those like this style of film. So Kung Fu Trailers of Fury is actually really good. Extremely fun. She was very influential. She was actually pimping out movies that she was claiming to hate. Yeah, she made Doctor Who. Yeah, thanks of course to one of my favorite episodes, The Deadly Assassin. So, I like Jim Jarmusch a lot actually, so that's something that I would pick up down the road. Now this one here, yeah, has the auto commentary by Rick Myers. Rick Myers is pretty much known as the kind of the leading expert when it comes to this style of film. He actually wrote a book on it. Did you get the second one, Steph? Because I only got the first one. It's really good. I do have to grab the second one. going along the line of like documentaries before I get into like the actual like films. Hannah Lauder did this really good documentary. I gotta make sure there's no nudity on the cover. No, there's not. Okay, that's good. And that's sexploitation. This is way. I thought it would be fun, way better and way more research than I actually even expected it to be. And God, who's the does with this? It's like Friedman, right? Yeah, David F. Friedman. Of course, he's passed on now. This was one of the last things he did. I agree, Rich. I knew this was going to be kind of a fun documentary. I didn't know it was going to be so well researched and so well done. Even if this really isn't kind of your bag, it as a documentary, you owe it to yourself to check this out. Hannah Lauder is really entertaining to watch. Don't watch this one around the kiddies though. There is a couple like, even though like most of it is like talking about nudie cuties and stuff like that, and like there are sequences that I would say you don't want to have like the younger folks around. Definitely go in and pick up. There's actually kind of like something weird like put out a lot of these sexploitation type of films. This is the company Something Weird right here. That's an Andy Milligan one. So there's like actually 3.5 hours of Something Weird shorts on here. Very fun one. Definitely an interesting one. But if you want like a really great documentary, something that you're going to go back and watch over and over again, and I grabbed the special edition. I grabbed the limited edition of this one here, the House of Pain edition. You know what it is if you know this one, and that is Lost Souls. Yes, Lost Souls is amazing. Richard Stanley's dream was to make Island of Dr. Moreau. Little did Richard Stanley know that was going to become one of his worst nightmares. Richard Stanley, of course, is known for making movies like Hardware and Dust Devil, movies that became kind of cult classics. He's also known for dating Asia Argento, which is kind of interesting. He has like interesting like observations into Argento because of that, I think. Yeah, an extremely fascinating guy, extremely strange guy, and but I really think we'd get along, because I'm a bit on the weird side myself. So if you haven't seen this documentary, you owe it to yourself. It's not going to make you like Val Kilmer very much. I'll tell you that much right now. Now this one here is the 3-disc edition. So we got the documentary here. We have the H.G. Wells files, and I'll explain what that is in a second. And Richard Stanley reads The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is actually really cool. If you know, Richard Stanley's got a very unique voice and kind of like a vocal structure and pattern that he really, really loves. There's no bigger fan of Island of Dr. Moreau than Richard Stanley, which is such a shame that the movie got taken away from him because of Val Kilmer. Anything Richard Stanley does is going to be awesome. So I'm super excited about his new film. They do include soundtracks. We'll actually get to that one there. No, the H.G. Wells one includes the 1921 version of the Island of Dr. Moreau. And if you thought I was done with awesome documentaries, there's one more. Future Shock: The Story of 2000 AD. You don't have to be a comic book fan or have ever read one issue of 2000 AD to enjoy this. If you're a Vertigo fan, you're going to get a little extra out of it, because you're going to hear like names that would grace and make Vertigo Comics, the DC imprint, extremely famous. But the story behind this one, it's really, really good, Michael. I do recommend it. The story behind it is incredible. This is punk. Arrow put out a great edition of that Scholar, by the way. I was going between the two of them, and I saw this cover, and I fell in love with this cover. And I said, and there was a Severin sale going on at the time, and I said, yes, I got to get this one. It's one that I really need to own. If you've never seen it, you wouldn't know it from looking at me now, but I was pretty much into a lot of the punk scene and stuff back in the day. That's one of the I'm older. That's kind of my one of the music genres that I really kind of dove into. And the comic Future Shock is super punk in the way that it was done. Recommend it. I highly recommend it. Great extra interviews on there with like extended interviews with people like Grant Morrison, Neil Gaiman, the great Neil Gaiman, Dave Gibbons, Karen Berger, Pat Mills. Check it out. It's a really great documentary. So for people that don't like documentaries, don't worry. We're getting into the cheesy fun stuff. Now, this one's not for everyone. If you're a blaxploitation horror fan and you're interested in the story kind of behind the scenes here, I like this one, but I'm definitely not. No, I wouldn't say like everybody would grab it, and that is Blackenstein. Blackenstein is an interesting blaxploitation film that's it's kind of fun. It's not for everybody, but I really enjoyed it, and this one has actually two versions of the film here. What's really interesting about this is what happens kind of behind the scenes. The producer, writer of the film, and I got to make sure I get his name right here, is Frank Severin, and he was murdered. So yeah, there's a bit of an interesting backstory to get into there. It's fun, it's cheesy, it's not of the same quality as Blackula, but if you like the blaxploitation horror, then I definitely recommend it. It's one that deserves a place if you're collecting those that genre there. As you guys know, and I will continue to mention, I'm Canadian. I'm super Canadian. Doesn't my accent come across as like super Canadian? Please say yes, because when I was growing up, I would always get the, you have a strange accent. You don't sound like you're from Newfoundland. You don't sound like you're from Ontario. Are you from the U.S.? No, I'm Canadian. I'm super Canadian. Boot. There we go. There. Kathy's Curse. One of the classic exploitation films. I really do enjoy this one. What I really love is that I was asked earlier on Midwestish. I suck at geography, so you'd have to say what Midwestish means. But Kathy's Curse was one that had horrible prints. Like you can find it on like Mill Creek, stuff like that. But it was horrible. It looked horrible. Like I say, when I'm talking about this is a revelation to see Kathy's Curse looking like this. It looks incredible. And they did just such a good job. We got the director's cut with the U.S. release cut of this one on here as well. I love the fact that they put on different releases. Silent Rage. And they got some neat interviews on there, audio commentaries. Definitely. Oh, Wisconsin. So I could kind of like slide by as a Wisconsinite, like if I really had to. I'd actually love to check out that area. It's been a long time since I've been in the U.S. I'm just waiting a couple years and I want to go check it out. But Kathy's Curse, definitely recommend it. This had I think it came with a mask at one point, with a bundle that was done with a Kathy's Curse mask and like a T-shirt. I love the bundles that Severin put out. I definitely want to get some of them. I wanted to get the Laurie Gemser bundle, but I bought the Emmanuel and the Last Cannibal, so I don't know if Hin's going to let me rebuy to get the bundle. I want that shirt, and I want the pin. I want the Laurie Gemser pin. Anyway, so there we go. Kathy's Curse. Next up here's one that I do recommend, and this would not be recommended by the actress Linda Hayden that acted in the film. Yeah, they do have a few of the bundles there. Some of them sell it really fast, like the most recent ones. Like the last one that came out, I think with the Blood Farmers and stuff like that. That's sort of like super quick. House on Straw Hill. Okay, good. She's wearing bra. Okay, so just making sure. Udo Kier is an actor that I really like. I think he takes a lot of really cool chances, and he acts in a lot of different films. He worked with Nico Mastriakis in a couple films actually, including one that I would really like to get, which is called The Time Traveler. And I'm not sure if you've never seen The Time Traveler before, and you've seen Starman. Adrienne Barbeau acts. She's the female lead in The Time Traveler. Now go back and watch The Time Traveler by Nico Mastrakis. And then go watch Starman. And Adrienne Barbeau was dating John Carpenter at this time. So there are similarities, man. There are similarities between Time Traveler and not completely, but there's some similarities between Time Traveler and Starman. So The House on Straw Hill, great film. Linda Hayden hated it. She hated making this film. She talks about it. She actually talks very, very negatively about the film. I thought it was really fun, actually. But like most people, I wanted it for this right here. Ban the Saddest Videos, which is a great documentary. Another documentary on... yeah, exactly. Another Video Nasties documentary on the Video Nasties. And anytime Celluloid that I can get a new documentary on the Video Nasties era, and I find it extremely interesting, I'm all there. I gotta grab it. And it was like the first 3,000 of these actually had like the documentary. Then the other ones didn't. Next up is one that I recently got. We have a similar taste in documentary styles, and I like that. That is The Devil's Honey, which I haven't had the chance to watch yet. It's been a long time since I've seen this film. This was recommended by my dad, actually, who was a huge fan of Lucio Fulci and a very big fan of this film right here. And who stars in this one anyway? Oh, Brett Halsey is in this. Okay. Corinne Clary from Zombie. So we got like some decent actors in this one, and most people know this one for the saxophone sequence. So, hey, Hoax, man, welcome. Devil's Honey. I got to sit down and watch this. There's a ton of features on it. There's Stephen Thrower talks about Fulci, and Stephen Thrower did a great book on Lucio Fulci, which I would love to have. It's just so incredibly researched and so well done. Oh, he's a Fulci classic? Nice. I never know which cover to put on because I love this cover too. It's kind of black and white neo-noir style cover that I really dig. Like the reverse, I go back and forth. All right, so before I get into my latest ones, because I love these, last year's, not as last year's in 2018, 2017's big Severin movie that came out. Wolfen is a fantastic film. Jack the Ripper. This is probably the company, the video, the Blu-ray that really got me into Severin as much as I am. Like definitely started a lot of the love. I was getting this movie for my dad for Christmas. I was grabbing a copy for myself because he talked about this movie so much, and it is such an influential film. If you've ever seen any Jack the Ripper like film or that came later, like stuff like Murder by Decree and Jack the Ripper, like Sherlock Holmes style films, there's a strong, similarity to what's done here. Lee Patterson was in this one, and it's Lee Patterson, right? I think it is. Yeah, Lee Patterson. Really, really enjoyed this one. Featurettes on this are actually, I love the inside covers. The featurette on this is, again, they're short, but they're really good. This is the other cover there. I love this film, and I love this slipcover. This, for me, it's like the best slipcover that Severin's ever done. It really does, like, if you want something that looks like a Giallo style book, like one of those pulp novels type of thing, this actually has that style. It has that kind of feel to it, and I really dig that. Yeah, definitely one of their. Did I just put this in wrong? I did put this wrong. Thank you, Michael, because when you said beautiful slipcover, I had to check. But one of my favorites. But they did some other amazing slipcover stuff as well. Oh no, dude! Interrupt me. This is not me talking at the camera. This is me talking with you guys. This is a club. Interruptions are welcome. It often ends up being like this Severin sequence happened because somehow it's run off. Thank you. See, This Severin sequence happened tonight because you guys interrupted me and made it happen. And I'm actually thinking this Severin sequence is probably the best portion of the of the video. So you guys rock. Vampire Lesbos. Love this movie. It is definitely half the fun because it's like a family circus style video where we never know where it's going to end. Soledad Miranda, unfortunately, she passed away at a very young age. She was like definitely the early muse for Jess Franco. Before, of course, he would meet Lena Romay. Thank you. So what's really cool about these here is these are art covers, and I truly do mean that in the art covers, as in they actually have the like unadulterated art without any wording or anything on here. By putting the wording on the slipcover, really enjoy that. I really like that they did that. There's some great interviews on here as well. This one here actually has a DVD for like a different version of the film called, what's it called? Las Vampiros, a alternate Spanish language version. Looks like Criterion with that case, huh? Criterion level of quality, I tell you. The other one from the Soledad Miranda collection that they put out, the Jess Franco Miranda collection, that is the classic She Killed in Ecstasy. Both of these films are fantastic. I think if I had to give one the foot over the other, and I really don't want to do that, it's the Vampire Lesbos, but I think both of these need to be owned. And again, the unadulterated art cover, which I think looks fantastic. Soledad Miranda was an extremely beautiful lady, and she passed way, way too early. This one here was the real start of like, I think it was anyway. I could be wrong. The start of putting like CDs, like actual soundtracks. So you see that back there? That's not a DVD or a Blu-ray. That's a CD soundtrack. And it's not a CD soundtrack of one movie. It's a CD soundtrack of like 3 of Jess Franco's films. It got tracks from Vampire Lesbos, She Killed in Ecstasy, and The Devil Came from Akasava. I really got to get The Devil Came from Akasava because I don't have that. Is that out? Probably is, now I just don't have it. But the track list is on here. Hey, Kubrick Lover. Welcome, dude. I started out talking about Twilight Time and I ended up talking about Severin. I actually love soundtracks. I'm actually falling in love with the idea of having the soundtrack like as an added bonus. That's becoming my favorite special feature. I actually listened to the soundtrack of Absurd last night. Mired in controversy, but I love it. Peter Maddox, The Changeling. Yes, I actually would appreciate the likes. I do look to see if people actually hit the like button on my videos, because I know that actually means you kind of like watching them. So this Second Sight did a great job. Yeah, it is definitely becoming like and I'm glad it's become more common bonus feature because I love when they do that. It's fantastic. Now Second Sight did like an addition to this as well. I have the Severin edition. I'm very proud of this one. Some people say, well, you know, like the 5.1 has some dropping in the sound, but I'm sorry if you've got this movie, you're listening to the mono, because that is how you listen to The Changeling. You want the original sound for it. This has the soundtrack here as well. I love the black cases. I wish they all had black cases, but I guess it's good to kind of show. I think the black cases kind of give you like an idea of the like, I guess, the limited editions, the special ones. So this is the soundtrack to The Changeling, which I actually adore. It is Oh, that sounds familiar. Have I seen that? Probably have. All right. These are more recent. These are, this is what I would call the Bay Street Bunch. And every one of these, I recommend. For if you're an Italian horror fan. First off is Zombie 3. Now, Zombie 3 was originally meant to be a Fulci film. Fulci had a heart attack, and Bruno Mattei, who worked with Fulci, took over. But the insanity doesn't end there. We also have Claudio Fragasso working on the script. If you're familiar with the work of Claudio Fragasso beyond Troll 2, and even Troll 2 would have it, Claudio Fragasso is a killer guy for the downbeat style ending. So if you watch anything with Claudio Fragasso has written, 9/10 out of 10, it's going to have a super downbeat ending. One that I do need to get, one that doesn't have a good enough release yet, in my personal opinion, and I would like to see a soundtrack included. I would like to see Severin do it, and that is Rat, Bruno Mattei's Rats, Night of Terror, which I think is a really kick-ass film, directed by Bruno Mattei and written by Claudio Fragasso. And that ending, man, that ending on Rats, it sticks with you. It does. If you've never seen it, don't look it up before watching the film. Just know it'll stick with you. It's a good ending. Zombie 3, of course, has the limited edition soundtrack, and I love the soundtracks on these films. Here, is that the movie The Rats Eat the Kid? Where the rats eat the kid. There's rats. Deadly Eyes has rats eating a kid. It's actually a Canadian film, exploitation. But the Rats, Night of Terror, I think that's what it's called. Basically, it's kind of like Night of the Living Dead. Basically, there's these group of people, and they get kind of stuck in this warehouse. There's these rats that are kind of like overrunning the area. It's an apocalyptic, it's apocalyptic style time, and there's kind of an infighting between the group. One guy that kind of wants to take over to be the leader of the group. He turns on the. I think it's a fantastic Italian film. I'm not sure if anybody else, if you've seen it, you can let me know what you think. But I really like that style of film. I do like Bruno Mattei. He gets kind of downed on a lot, but I think. Where Lucio Fulci was was definitely the artist, would do a lot of different style films, and would get into kind of the sleaze factor as well, but he definitely had kind of a talent for an artistic talent. Bruno Mattei was often one of those guys that would do the knockoff style films, but he always put a lot of action in his movies. There was kind of his was you think of a heavy metal action style, kicking ass, bunch of explosions and shooting and that type of thing, but not in the Michael Bay boring way, but actually in a kind of a fun way. That was Bruno Mattei. Fragasso was known as kind of the worst thing in the world happens to be rats. And Fragasso was kind of the guy that unfortunately is only known now for Troll 2, but was what I would consider actually a decent screenwriter, especially if you want to be semi-depressed by the end of the film. Zombie 3, anyway, check it out. Comes with the soundtrack. I do recommend getting the limited edition if you're going to grab this film here. Next up, Fragasso would get the chance to actually not just write, but also direct the film, and under the name Claude Anderson, but it is Claudio Fragasso, and that is Zombie 4 After Death. It is a batshit crazy film. Again, we get the soundtrack here as well. Who did the soundtrack in this one? What? Festa. I can't remember the soundtrack. This one, I think it's kind of But Zombie 4 is a fun film. It gets ragged on a lot too. I do find it a lot of fun. I do find these films fun. They're not meant to be like, they're definitely, nobody's going to look in this and say, Zombie 4, was that meant to be a Criterion release? No, not really, not quite. But it's, if you like this genre of film, then you're going to like the movie. It has a sequence in this that is very reminiscent of Lamberto Bava's Macabre, and you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've seen this movie and you've seen the fridge sequence and you've seen the end of Lamberto Bava's Macabre. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. As you know, in these films, they always try to make sure to get ahead. Next up is exactly. I can't believe that got a Criterion release. Didn't The Rock get a Criterion release too? But I can pass The Rock over Armageddon. Shocking Dark, otherwise known as Terminator 2. Again, another Bruno Mattei film. Unfortunately, this one does not have a soundtrack with it. But it is a really cool release. And I would have liked to have actually had the soundtrack to this one, to be completely honest with you. I love the fact this is their Creatures, Cyborg Effects, and Optical SFX by Francesco and Gaetano Paolucci. Hey Peter, how's it going? You're coming in at the tail end of my video, but you're seeing some Severin stuff. Shocking Dark, I definitely recommend. It's a really fun film. It's aliens with zombie put in there. Dressed to Kill. It's a fantastic film. You know how much I love. Hey! That's okay. So I got to cover this one. I got to be very, just in case the younger folks come in. Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals. Again, another one with a soundtrack. Yes, yes, yes. I love soundtracks. I actually love the Emmanuel series. And I guess this was called the Black Emmanuel series with Laura Gemser. In these films here, like there's one kind of like Von Women's Prison. Emmanuel is like a reporter. A lot of people say that they're kind of like just not really connected, but the idea behind it is that Laura Gemser's Emmanuel character is like pretty much, I'm sure in all of them, even though when she's in prison, she's a reporter, and she's actually gotten in prison because of her because of the fact that Women's Prison Massacre is one she's in, I think, where basically she's in prison because she's been like doing reporting, and she's kind of ended up like hitting on the wrong guy, the wrong mob boss guy. So I can show you this cover, so it's better. Emmanuel and the Last Cannibal. I really do like this film. I know it's weird, but I do dig it. And again, we got the motion picture soundtrack in here as well. I love this. As long as Severin keeps putting out these 10 releases with the soundtracks, I am so there. I am so there. Severin, keep doing this. We need somebody to keep up the the Sandwich Police. Isn't that awesome? Jordan Hedge is on my Facebook, so I posted there. There actually is a place called Sandwich, so they actually have a police station. They have a police force on the side of the cars. Sandwich Police. Whenever you're in a pickle, Sandwich Police. Jodorowsky box set. Oh, El Topo and Holy Mountain. I'd actually like to have that. But again, some great features in here. Of course, Laura Gemser ended up working behind the scenes later on. She actually went from, on front to behind the scenes. So next up, Beyond the Darkness. Did Beyond the Darkness have the soundtrack? I had that in my hand. Well, how come I didn't know that? Oh. Damn it. I need that one down the road. Yeah, no, it was a limited edition that I had in my hand. The one great thing about Bay Street Video Man was that uh, whenever I picked up a Severin, it was a limited. There was no like regular edition; it was all limited edition stuff there. The one I watched last night, the one I'm going to watch the features of. What time is it? Yeah, I'm still going to watch the features. I don't have to go to bed early tonight because I don't have to work tomorrow. This right here, Absurd, Halloween 2, the real Halloween 2. I love this film. I love the ending of this film. It rocks. It H2O'd years before H2O. It did. This is so cool. George Eastman is a huge hulk of a man. More than that, George Eastman wrote this film. George Eastman also wrote one of my favorite Italian films of all time. George Eastman wrote Stage Fright, which was directed by Michele Soavi, who also was kind of an assistant director on Tenebrae, and also worked, as an actor in the movie Demons, where he played the guy with the silver mask face. But one of my favorite editions of one of my favorite movies is the original Stage Fright, with directed by him, and that's written by George Eastman. You don't want to watch it on YouTube. You want to see a really great edition of it. You want to see this. You need this edition. You heard the kitty meow in the background? Yeah. You'll always check on me. You'll come down to see, and you'll come down to the stairs and I'll meow to see if I'm there and see if he gets my attention, and he does. And he's such a cutie. But if you don't have this one, recommend it highly. Great soundtrack too, by the way. I actually really like the soundtrack to this one. It's kind of comical. They tried to make this make us think it was in America. At no time did I ever believe this was America. Apparently Americans love football. Like, I know it's Super Bowl night, so this is the perfect time to talk about Absurd, right? But you like football so much that you run over people and just leave them on the side of the road. Because, there's a sequence in this film where everybody's sitting around in the American household to watch American football with the worst commentary ever. And do what everybody does during, I'm sure when any of you here that sat down and watched the Super Bowl, if that's your bag, that's your type of thing, you were sitting down with a bunch of friends, eating a plate of spaghetti, of homemade spaghetti, and watching the football game. What happens every day when it comes to football? You're sitting down eating spaghetti. It's great though. It's fantastic. The ending of this film is awesome. There's a girl in this that's in she's that's absurd. That's in in a hospital bed in a house, and she can't move. And I think she's got a broken. I can't remember. She's got a broken neck or something. She's got this neck brace on her, and she can't move. And there's a girl in the film. And what's insane about this is Joe D'Amato. And if you know Joe D'Amato's other stuff, then you got certain expectations when you go in. There's no nudity in this. And there are some actresses in this that are nude in a ton other films. There's gore, Corey, you'll love this. There's gore in this film. But even that is not quite as bad as as Anthropophagus. I'm heading out soon, Uncle, anyway, so But thank you so much for coming in and being here for the night. The saw scene, it's awesome when it's going up through the guy. The saw scene is incredible. There's a scene with a girl, and this is kind of unintentionally hilarious, where he puts her in an oven. Slowest death idea for a death ever. I'm going to put your head in an oven. This now, don't think this is an oven that's already turned on, right? And it's heated up. So he puts her in, and it automatically burns her. No, he puts no, not the, he puts her head in an oven, like puts it in there for a minute, turns on the oven, right? So lets the oven heat up, keeps her in there, keeps trying. She keeps struggling to get out. Uh, makes you think. This this is the final title, Uncle. So if I'm keeping you from sleeping, this is the finale of the Severin releases. He literally like just holds her just in a regular oven and waits for it to heat up, and she burns and she slowly burns. Great ending to this film, by the way. See, you don't have to be scared anymore. Love this. There's sequences in this that when did this one come out? 81. Okay, then there's no excuse. So years later, stuff that H2O would do, stuff that Friday the 13th Part 4 would do. Yeah, sequences famous in those films come up in Absurd. So if you've not seen Absurd and you're, I'm strongly recommended the limited edition of Absurd. Have a great night there, Uncle. Thank you for coming in and joining in for all this entire thing. And Corey, that's the as of right now, those are the only Severins that I have in my collection. Make sure to check out Corey's videos and music on here as well, by the way. Kubrick Lover does some incredible stuff as well. Scalder did a Western collection one. I gotta watch that actually tonight. I was gonna watch that last night. I kind of got passed out. How does it compare to the 88 Films version? My dad has the 88 Films version. I have this edition. I would go with the Severin edition personally. I would definitely say this would be the one to get. And one thing to show you really quickly, I guess, is yes, it does have an alternate cover. I didn't know they put it screw wells. Anytime, Kubrick Lover, I do like your channel, and I do like the passion that you have about your films. Just like I'm passionate about my weird stuff. Kubrick Lover likes a lot of classier movies than me. I give the deserved shout outs. You guys deserve them, so that's the truth of the matter. Trying to check really quickly to see if any of these black cases have like alternate artwork. Unfortunately, the zombie ones don't. I wish they did, but they have amazing art anyway. I think Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals does, but I don't know if I'm going to take that one out because it's too tight. Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, De Katana, it is pretty much the Grim Reaper too. There's, I guess with Grim Reaper, Anthropophagus is the first one. They don't really kind of follow any like serious like story arc. I would more so call Absurd Halloween 2. If you ever see the movie, go in thinking Halloween 2, their own version of Halloween 2 after Halloween had been done. I don't know if Halloween 2 is even out at this point, but they did their own version of it anyway. It got sequences in the hospital. It goes back to a house. There's like definitely bloodier murders in Halloween 2, that's for sure. Edmund Purdue from Don't Open Till Christmas. He's actually kind of the Loomis character. He plays like a Greek priest who talks about this immortal character that can only be killed if he's being shot in like in a certain spot of the head, because basically his something about like when he had to get him when the blood coagulates in order to kill him, because he's almost impossible to kill. At the beginning of the film, he falls on a spiked fence, and exactly, and he comes to this door, and his guts are literally hanging out. He gets better. he gets better. He gets shot. Like there's an actually sequence with there's an eye sequence in the film as well, like much like in Halloween 2. A lot of really cool stuff. George Eastman makes a better Michael Myers than some Michael Myers does because he's just massive and he's hulking. There you go, guys. I definitely recommend that. So again, like I said before, I started this with as a Twilight time, and it's kind of a tribute to the late Nick Redman, who put a lot of work and a lot of his heart and into Twilight time, and he's passed on. So rest in peace, Mr. Redman. You will be missed. And I went from there, from Twilight time, to talk to you guys about you gotta own it, Daikatana. You really gotta own this. Watch it on YouTube, but you're gonna go buy it afterwards because it's really cool. I think you'll like it. It's absurd. There you go. 2 for the price of 1. Twilight time with a secret surprise Severin collection as well. Hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed doing that and talking to you guys here. I am Aaron. This is my modest little movie library that's taken years to build. Whew. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the movie club, and you guys are freaking awesome. I'll talk to y'all later. Take it easy, and have a great evening. Watch some Italian horror, and listen to some Italian soundtracks. Do some awesome stuff. You guys do some great stuff there too. And you got to work now. Luckily,